Hey everyone, welcome to this video. In this one, I want to talk about Python try and except blocks and why would you use it. Now, typically, every programming language is going to give you some way to handle errors, and this is Python's way of giving you error handling. Say, for example, you have say number 1 is something, okay, and number 2 is something else, 200, and you are performing a division. Okay, so that is gonna be your number, say number 2 by divided by number 1. Okay, and you want to print this division. Okay, so if you run this code, it's all good. It's 2.0. So one thing that we know, that even if these numbers are integers, once you divide these numbers they become a float. The one thing that I have learned. Next thing what you can do, if you change that number to 0, that's where the problem seems to happen. So if you run this, you get an error, zero division error, right? So what in Python you typically do, you wrap the code around the try block. This is the code you're gonna try. Okay, so let's do that. Let's say try, and as soon as you do try, come back down, indent that code, then over here try, and then say accept. What do you want to do? Accept. Say print. Okay, something went wrong. If I have just that, if I run this code now, okay, so it's you're getting the something went wrong. Now you could be very specific about when to catch what kind of error. Like over here we know it's a zero division error, right? So what we can do, okay, we can say accept, and let's see if I can find zero division error. If you see zero division error, then you can say, okay, print what, uh, cannot divide by 0. Okay, so if I run this code now, so this block should run and you should not see anything for this block, right? So if I run this code, cannot divide by 0. So everything is happening very nicely so far. So you, based on your own requirement, you could be very running there. Now what you typically do, you would want to change these hard-coded values to input, user inputs. Like you'll change that to input, and then you'll say enter first number, and over here you're gonna change that, say input, enter second number. Okay, then you do all that, then you say print, and then just give a nice output, uh, result for division is, and then just give them the division. Okay, and just do the formats string, and what they missed one ending code. There we go. Now rerun one more time. It says now asking into the first numbers, if I do 100, and second number say 88, whatever. Okay, it says something went wrong. So now this time, what's wrong? Okay, this time what happened, that you are entering these numbers, but the input function always takes the number as a string, so you have not converted these numbers to integers. To solve the problem, okay, you can do one thing. You can just convert this right after the input. Okay, one way to solve that little problem that we had. And let's rerun the code. And first number 100 and second number say 55, and now it's a much better program. The next thing that we want to look at with the try, okay, typically it sometimes it comes with an else block, and that's an interesting one. Okay, and the other one that you can sometimes see is going to be the finally block. Okay, now finally block is actually a little bit easier to understand, so no matter what happens here, the finally block is always going to run. So print, okay, this code will always run. Okay, for example, okay, uh, your number, okay, maybe you are resetting the numbers over here. What you can do, uh, reset numbers to 0, something like that. Whatever you want to perform, you can do that in the finally block. That code will always run. So in here, else is the interesting one, and the else is only going to run when the try is successful. Then the else is going to run. If you get into the except any of these except blocks, then the else will not run. Finally will always run. So let's give you some example. I hope this is not getting too complex. So else, let's put a note. This block will only run when the try block is successful. Okay, and finally, let's just say this block will always run. Okay, it's not that you always need these blocks, okay, but in Python they are available. Else is the only one that I think it's not, I have not seen any other programming languages, but in Python we do have this else block. Else to me logically more goes with if else. I don't really think about try except an else block, but it is what it is. So what is going to happen, use case, so let's say print, I'm gonna say, okay, the division was successful. Okay, so I can say this division was successful. Okay, if the division is successful, then only this block is going to get printed. If it's not successful, it will be caught by one of these blocks, and this is going to go there. This could always run print repeat with better values. Okay, so that we can do. So let's now try it out. So first of all, what we're gonna do, we're gonna try with the good numbers. Okay, so let's just run, and the first number, let's say 100. Okay, and the second number, let's say 500. Okay, so it will be 500 divided by 100, so I'm expecting 5.0. So look at that, it is result, it should be SULT. Okay, so result for division is 5.0. Since this block is successful, okay, all of that code is successful, it didn't go inside this block and this block, so this line of code got executed. It says division was successful. And as I said, finally block, whatever you put in here will always run. So this line of code is also printed, and this block, whatever in here, they're gonna be printed. Now notice the behavior. If I change, rerun the code, and the first number is 0, second number is 500. So in this case, what's going to happen, you're going to end up having a zero division error. Because it's an error, this block should not run, so division was successful should not be printed, and it will come over here to the finally, and it will go somewhere over here, and it should say cannot divide by 0. Okay, so let's hit enter. Let's observe the output. So again, go back. So these two line of code, they got executed properly. When you get to this line, okay, this line through the error, okay, cannot, so it came over here and ran this print cannot divide by 0. Since the exception was raised, okay, it skipped this else block because this block only runs when the code is successful, and finally you say, hey, this code will always run, repeat with beta values. Okay, that's what we have. So please, for if you're studying for the Python cert exam, Python cert, okay, this is an important concept. uh, you may see some questions that will be around the try and else and finally block, and you may get a question, okay, if this happens, what's going to be printed, and you should be able to answer the question properly. I want to give you this code in my video. Hopefully this was useful to you. Play with the code a little bit more, and create your own code. Make sure that you understand this concept very, very well before you take that exam. Good luck.